Well, hello everybody. My name is Roger and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I decided to do a booktube tag that I came across quite a few times actually. I've seen quite a few booktubers do this tag and it sounded like a lot of fun. So that's going to be my video for today. So the name of the tag is called the Bookshelf Scavenger Tag. So the original tag was created by Sarah of the Library of Sarah, to whom I want to give a huge shout out. It doesn't appear as though her original video in which she did this tag is still there. But I've seen many booktubers do her tag and then link to her channel. So now I'll provide a link to her channel down below as well. So I decided to give it a go, and I really had a blast rummaging through my bookshelves, trying to find all these books. So the first book is Find an Author's Name or Title with the letter Z in it. So I thought this would be an easy one for me, as I had a collection of Mark Zubro novels, which were LGBT-themed mystery novels. But then I remember that I donated all of them to a Friends of Library book sale recently. I did a massive unhauling a few months back and got rid of a couple of hundred books, actually. So now I have room on my bookshelves again to fill them up once again. So anyway, I looked through my bookshelves and I only came up with one book whose author had the letter Z in it. That was, hopefully you can see this, On Writing Well by William Zinsser. It's been a while since I read this one. And this is a book on an informal guide to writing nonfiction. So the next book is Find a Classic. Now, I have a pretty decent selection of classics lining my bookshelves, but I decided to choose the Catcher in the Rye. Hopefully you all can see this, by J.D. Salinger. Now, this is a book that I haven't read since I was a kid, and I think it'd be definitely one to reread. Actually, there's a lot of classics that I'd like to reread, and which I really haven't read any since I was in school, way back when. So anyway, the third one is Find a Book. What is it? Find a book with a key on it. So this was really weird. I was sure that I had tons of books with keys on it. Actually, I think I had a Dan Brown novel that I actually got rid of during my book unhauling that had keys in it. So the closest I could come was a book entitled, if you can see that, it's kind of glary there, Skeleton Key by Andy Horowitz. But this is the third book in the Alex Rider series, which is a fun series to read. This is a middle grade or young adult series. It's about a 14-year-old boy who gets involved in all kinds of spy business. So the next question is, find something on your bookshelf that's not a book. This was pretty easy. This is a little candle. Whoops. This is a little candle that I received in an owl crate box. It's called a soy candle. It's a soy candle called Books on Candles. It really smells nice, too. But, of course, I didn't do the booktube thing today and light the candle. Okay, so the next question is, find the oldest book on your bookshelf. Tarzan the Untamed by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is a first edition. It was published by Grosset and Dunlap in, I don't know if you can see that, published in, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, 1920. So this is an oldie. Actually, I got quite a few old books on my bookshelf. Next question is, find a book with a girl on the cover. So that depends on whether you mean girl as in female or girl as in woman. I'm assuming we're talking girl as a child. So I'm gonna go with the first book in the Spiderwick Chronicles, which is called The Field Guide. I shouldn't put that so close. That looks a little better, easier to see. The Field Guide. Now, if we're talking about girl as in woman, which is not the correct way to refer to a woman, we would go with Pellucidar by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So these are one of those dime dime store novel books. This one cost 60 cents. And I used to buy hundreds of these books when I was a kid, and I still have quite a few of them. I was really, really big into sword and sorcery and fantasy books back then. So I guess not too much has changed in that regard. Okay, the next book. A book that has an animal in it. First book that came to mind was a book entitled Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. It features a talking gorilla, or more like a telekinetic gorilla, if I remember correctly. I think it's been so many years since I read this, I can't remember if the gorilla actually spoke to him or just sent his thoughts to him. It was a fun book, and I really, really enjoyed reading it. Actually, my sister's boyfriend recommended this to me like 20 years ago, so it was fun. All right, the next one. Find a book with a male protagonist. For this, I'm going to go with... Let's see if I can get this. So I'm going to go with The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice. Now the one that I have here is actually a graphic novel. So which is kind of cool, painted by Derek Gross. I got this from a dear friend of mine when I was in college. I guess quite a while, over 20 years ago. I wish I had the rest of the Anne Rice Vampire series in graphic novel format. I might have to scour the internet to see if they're around. So anyway, that was The Vampire Lestat, graphic novel by Anne Rice. So the next, find a book with only words on it. I assuming that meant words in the cover. And the one I chose for that was Cyrano de Bergerac by Edmond Rostand. There might have been a dust cover at one time, but who knows? I'm not sure when they started doing dust covers. So anyway, next question is, find a book with illustrations on this. So for this one, I'm going to choose Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. And this is a book with illustrations in it. So the story is actually told via text and illustrations. It's very cool that way. Lots of illustrations. The illustrations look like a lot of fun as well. So, and actually, this is a book I just got recently, so I haven't read it yet. So it's on my TBR list. All right, find a book with gold lettering. This would be my illustrated version of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and gold lettering. Find a diary, true or fictional. So actually, I love diaries. I love reading people's journals. And actually, I'm an avid journalist myself. So I had quite a few on my shelf to choose from. So I decided to go with one entitled Jeb and Dash, A Diary of Gay Life, 1918 to 1945. I think it's kind of hard to see. This is a diary of a man named Jeb Alexander, a gay man who lived in Washington, D.C. from 1918 to 1950s. And the diary also chronicles his on-again, off-again love affair with a man named C.C. Dasham, who Jeb refers to as Dash. And they met in college. So this is a great read. I'm not sure if it's still in print, but if you think that this might sound interesting to you, I highly recommend it. I remember I've read it a couple of times and I enjoyed it. It's a great read. Okay, the next question. Find a book written by someone with a common name like Smith. For this one, I decided to choose Paper Towns by John Green. John Green is a pretty popular name, I think. I was going to choose Anne Rice, because Rice is a pretty common name, isn't it? Also, I do have a couple of Holly Black books, but I also have actually, I chose a Holly Black book for another one of these questions. But I don't have any books with Smith or Jones in it. Alrighty, next question. A book that has a close-up of something on it. Well, a handwork. For this one, I decided to choose. This is that Holly Black book that I mentioned. Can't get this right in the camera. There we go. It's called The Coldest Girl in Coal Town by Holly Black. This is also a book that I recently acquired, so it's still on my TBR list. Find a hardcover book without a jacket. Well, I've already shown you a couple of them, and I have a whole bunch, actually. But for that, I'm going to go with Finchs Mythology. This is I don't know how old this is. But this one's a classic. Publisher established. This was 1970, so it's not that old, but it's old enough. All right. Next question. Find a Teal Turquoise book. The 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley by one of my favorite authors, Sean David Hutchinson. I'm a huge fan of this author, and you'll see a lot of his books on my shelves. So anyway, the next question. Find a book with stars on it. So for that, I'm going to use another Sean David Hutchinson book entitled We Are the Ants. So you may be saying, well, Roger, those don't look like stars to me. Well, actually, what we're seeing here are what appear to be star trails, or at least I think they are. And you can reproduce this effect by taking a picture of the night sky using a really slow shutter speed. So I'm going to do an unusual answer for this one and go with star trails. I just realized that I missed question number 15, and that is, find a book on your shelf that takes place in an earlier time period, or the earliest time period. For that, I chose The Path of the Eclipse by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. So this is a story about a vampire. I went through a lengthy vampire stage many years back. And this particular book takes place during the 12th century. This is actually a series that follows a vampire throughout the centuries. And it's a fun series. I really enjoyed it. I think that brings me to the last book, and which is Find a Non-YA Book. And for that one, I have to go with 28 Barbary Lane by Armistead Maupin. This book takes place in San Francisco during the 70s, and I cannot even tell you how many times I've read this book. It's a classic and one of my absolute favorites. Maupin ended up writing an entire series, and they're all good, but this one is still my favorite. And that is the Bookshelf Scavenger Hunt. Though I did screw it up by skipping and missing a question. I will post the tag down below if any of you decide to do it, as well as the original video. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.